This video is sponsored by Gate.io. If you set an account up using the link in the description, you'll get 25% back on all your spot and futures fees for life. Gate.io. Hello everybody, welcome back. We'll do a little quick one today because yesterday was much more about the long term. So if you didn't watch that, you might as well cast your eyes back. It should be relevant for a couple of years. But today we're just going to think about the actual short term, and we're going to think about the dominoes that we talk about, you know, the Euro, the S&P, and stocks in general, rather than just looking at Bitcoin. So long as Bitcoin's above 23,300, there's every reason to expect it to move up. That's the truth. So it's kind of that simple for the moment, right? It's every reason to expect that kind of a move. But we do need the first two dominoes to play the same game, because if they don't, then obviously it's not going to work for Bitcoin. Everything's so correlated these days that might as well just trade things through association with these two bad boys. So the Euro is very much the same. It's exactly the same, really. What we see is basically a 200 exponential moving average being this bad boy here. In fact, I'm going to get rid of a lot of this stuff. It's not really required anymore, to be honest with you. Just makes the chart very messy. So we're playing a game of moving averages. Obviously, this is a sharp downtrend. Someone told you that. It was me. I told you. And someone said it's likely to come down to the 200 exponential. It was me. I told you that too. And so when we came down here, we took the position, and now what we're looking for is continuation. So we've moved up to the top of the Bollinger Band, which has got a downward slope on it. So again, that is a resistance that's going to form basically a descending triangle formation. If you think about the direction that this is going, and the fact that this is more or less horizontal, that's the way we're going to play. Are we going to break out? Are we going to come back down to retest it? Are we going to break down? I don't know. The fact is, as we were getting closer and closer to this peak, I said we're likely to come down to this here. We've double bottomed it. Well, I say double bottomed. We've tested it twice in a row, pretty much to the tick. So that's all worked out very nicely. Now I do think that we're going to move up. I know the ECB are going to start talking about rate hikes and then all this sort of stuff. They've already prescribed the 50 basis points indefinitely. That's what they said they're going to do. So this is why I still think that the Euro is going to continue with an uptrend anyway, or at least in the short term, until either the Fed change their position or something happens on a geopolitical situation, right? So all of that still remains the same. And again, golden crosses like to be retested to show that they're bullish. They are bullish by nature. These are two of the higher term moving averages that have crossed and for the most part diverging. So we want to see if we get the reaction that we want and go on to make new highs on the Euro. That's fine. Again, I'm boring you to death. Now, this is how we closed yesterday on the S&P. This is currently the pre-market. So I've got two charts up just showing you different things, right? Both of them offer pretty decent opportunity, I would say, for buying this dip and expectations for moving up. First of all, now we've got the 200 simple moving average on the daily, which has been tested once again yesterday on the official market, not the pre-market, not the 24-hour effectively CFD traded SPX, but the official SPX. And so what we see is that's where we got our first entry point. Okay, fair enough, rejected, 7 simple, no big deal. Back down to it, okay, tested, bit of a buyback, okay, no big deal. We're outside of the giant bear market trend. I still feel as though this is more likely to move back up into the 4,000s, and when we get to 4,000, we'll see where we go from there. But I think that there's a very good chance that that's where we're going. Looking at the pre-market today, a little bit wobbly. So on the shorter term timeframes, there is a a diagonal trend line. Not my favorite, but it's just showing that there is some form of trend taking place here. Two drivers of hidden bullish divergence on the daily are there as well. So again, a little bit of hopium. Same thing, we've got regular bullish divergence on the 4 hourly as well. The trend is strengthening to the down, obviously, but we had that over here, more or less marking effectively the lowest portion. We had one last little tick down below after the death cross, and then we snaked our way back up to make a new local high. So again, it's a little bit dodgy at the moment. There's two main things to think about. Obviously, we've got the Euro, we've got the S&P before we even think about Bitcoin. One thing I was going to show you is that Tesla took a massive dump yesterday. Tesla takes up a huge portion of the S&P. It closed, it depends on where you look at it, to be honest with you, but it closed down, generally down. It just poked its head below the 200. $200 that would be, but still, as far as the official data is concerned, it's still floating above its Bollinger Band center. So I'm still actually in favor of this actually being bought back up. Tesla goes up, Nasdaq, S&P go up. It's that much of a bigger deal. It takes up such a large portion of that. of those indices, that it will move the entire thing if it decides to go up. Now, depending on the trading platform that you use, you can see us closing down either by 1%, 2%, 3%, even 5%. It depends. It's all over the place. But I want to bring your attention to one quick thing on Tesla, which is a very decent signal that's technically getting ready to brew, and it will brew either here, tomorrow, the next day, next week, and it will brew and complete at lower levels as well. And it is the famous pump signal on the Ichimoku cloud. Something like Tesla, which gets traded with such high volume, is likely to have a good reaction if and when we get this signal. Now, from a spot trading perspective or an investment perspective, this is a buy zone, right? It really is. It's a buy zone. It's a box of significance. You buy into this zone and hope for the best over a long period of time. I, for one, have done that for my pension. I was stocking up on my pensions yesterday. So I'm thinking that we'll monitor this closely. It's not likely to happen today, but it could if we close higher. We'll complete a pump signal on this Ichimoku cloud. So just waiting for this cheeky spend to close outside of a cloud, and then that's it. We're done and dusted. We're ready for the next move up. And to be honest with you, Tesla is a wild beast, and it wouldn't at all surprise me to see it move up towards, maybe not at, but towards the 300. So maybe 260, 300 or so on the back of a single signal like that. Again, if we're looking at this and as far as the chart is concerned, there's not that much about it which is bullish at all. A retest of this lower zone, maybe a golden cross retest on a 4-hourly. Again, it's a good looking chart, I have to say. It's a decent looking chart. And that's sitting down at the bottom of the buy zone around 180. So the reason I'm talking about Tesla is literally because it will move the S&P, it will move NASDAQ through association. If we have a big buyback bounce move that carries it up to, even 260, even if it's just from here, we're talking about a 30% move. That should translate into the NASDAQ and the S&P by maybe moving it up like a third of that. So we'll talk maybe 10% on those bad boys. And if we're thinking 10% on those, and we think about how that works and for Bitcoin and the like, it would bring us up to this area around here for S&P. So we've got 4,300. Technically, that is a support, a resistance that we had our eyes on as we moved up to this one. If we broke out of this symmetrical triangle, that would have been the measured move, just taking us up towards that 4,300. So let's finish this video on Bitcoin. What's Bitcoin doing? Like I say, 23,300 is the area. That's the thing to focus on. That's the secret sauce, really, as far as price action is concerned. And again, we got golden cross, just like Euro, just like S&P, just like loads of stuff. We've all got these golden crosses on the daily. We're technically floating around the 21 and the 20 moving average. So we're thinking, all right, odds are in favour of at this very moment in time to the tune of 65%. More likely to remain in this portion of the Bollinger Band, which means that we could move back up to making a new local high around 25,000, Bollinger Band top. Again, remember that these rejections here are the 200 weekly moving average, so that's where we're getting rejected. And if we break above there, then really we do start to sail up towards 28, 32, maybe even 38. But for the moment, it's a move pending. We have technically broken out of this very anemic downtrend on momentum. It's not really too much to think about. I wouldn't say it's not anything really. But generally, when you do break out of these downtrends for momentum, then we break out for price action. We've got that one over here, so we might be looking at something like that over here. But I have to rein it back in and just say Bitcoin is waiting for its big brother and sister, Euro and S&P, and also it's I don't know, it's very rich and vocal cousin Tesla, because these are all big parts of the puzzle that we have to put together before we even think about trading Bitcoin. However, like I said, I bought that dip at 21,500 or so when we came back into this zone. Bought that dip. I'm happy to hold that dip. It's no big deal. The moving averages are now crossed and closed above that buy zone. So if we do come down, I'll be looking for these to hold as well, even if it's just in the interim, and maybe even bounce significantly from them, just as we'd expect to see from any chart. And just finishing with that, we've got the Euro doing exactly the same thing. Golden crossed, came down into it, retesting it. Now we're trying to move up from it. That's what we should always expect from a golden cross. If you miss the move, which most people will always miss the move, and then they FOMO in, the best thing is to never to FOMO. You wait for the pullback. You might have to have patience of a saint, but you wait for the pullback to come down to the area the most significant area being a 200 exponential after a golden cross, whether it's a 4 hourly, 12 hourly, daily, or whatever. And we got that here. We might be looking for that to happen on Bitcoin, and that area specifically is 22,000. Right, that'll do for today. If you want to join the Patreon, links in the description below. It's a new month, so you get good value for money. You get billed once, obviously, because it works on a month-to-month rolling basis. And all the other links for anything that you could possibly want in the description below. Other than that, I hope you have a nice day. Let's pump the algorithm. Is it lemonade or is it Coke? What is it? Lemonade or Coke? It's Coke, obviously. And if you're from the UK, especially in northern UK and even more so Scotland, it's Iron Brew, which I hold in very high regard. Right, thank you for watching. Hope you have a nice day. Take it easy.